Hello everyone. Since we have a lot of C programming in this course, so in this slides, I'm going to briefly introduce the C programming language to help you guys get familiar with this programming language. First, let's briefly talk about the history of a C programming language. So at the very beginning, C programming language was designed for a Unix operating system. So until now, C is still the most popular system programming language. Back to 1973, Unix operating system is totally written in C programming language. And also the Linux operating system and MySQL database were also implemented by C programming language. But why we use C of C programming language instead of other programming language? So first the reason is because C is very easier to understand, especially so when we compare with assembly language. On the other hand, C can be run nearly as fast as the assembly language. So compared with other high-level programming language, the most advantage of a C is the efficiency. So for example, compare the C and Java. So even though their syntax are very similar, so when you compare same piece of code, which written in C and Java, so after you run the code to both of them, so you will know the difference. The code written in C is almost 10 times faster than the code written in Java. And also you can imagine that, so if the operating system is written in C, so after you click the power button, so you only need to wait probably 30 seconds for the operating system to be fully loaded up. However, if the system is written in Java, so probably you will need to wait 300 seconds, so almost 5 minutes. So I believe that for most of you guys, you cannot endure that long of waiting, right? So therefore, you can know that C programming language is quite efficient than other high-level programming language. However, compared with the C programming language, it doesn't mean that there's no advantage for Java programming language. So some of you guys may know my research area is computer network. Actually, Java is one of my favorite programming language. So although the efficiency is very important in computer networks, but it may not be the first priority. So most of the operations in operating system will be done within several milliseconds or at most 10 milliseconds. However, in computer networks, most of the operations will be done within hundreds of milliseconds. So then you can see that Java is good enough to handle that. But on the other hand, Java can provide a very good feature, which is a cross-platform compatibility. So as long as the operating system install the Java virtual machine, so you can run one copy of the Java code on almost all the operating system. For example, the Linux, Unix, Windows, Mac OS, or even Android. So it is a much convenient compared with a C programming language. Therefore, you can see the trade-offs between C and other high-level programming language. So if efficiency is your first priority, so you can choose a C programming language. However, if the cross-platform compatibility is your first priority, so Java will be the best choice for you. Then let's look at the program structure. And the first part in C program is preprocessor commands. For example, the sharp include, which is very similar to the import at the very beginning of a Java program. So you can import the functions defined in other Java program packages to the current Java program, then use it here. And for sharp include, you can use the functions defined in other C program header files. And the next preprocessor commands is the sharp define. So you can customize some term, and then later you can directly use it in your C code. And also later you will see more preprocessor commands in your C programs. And the next component of program structure is functions, so which is very similar to the methods in the Java. And also the variables, statements, and expressions and the comments are very similar to Java. So since Java is an object-oriented programming language, so you can define the classes and the objects in your Java programs. However, C is a function-oriented programming language, so there is no concept of classes or objects there. Similarly, like you learn Java, the first program you write is a hello world. So here, the first C program we are going to learn is also hello world. So in this slide, I have attached the source code of hello world, which is written in C programming language at the bottom of this slide. And also at the top of this source code, so we have the preprocessor commands. So instead of using import in Java, so we have include a C program header file here. And there are numbers of predefined function inside this header file. So for example, within this function, we have invoked a printf function. You can see here. And for this function, actually it's defined in the stdio.h header file. And for stdio.h, the stdio actually means standard input output. So you can easily understand why printf function is defined here. And this printf function will help us print the string, this hello world on the screen. So inside the C program, we only have one function, which named main function. And for this function is the entrance of this C program. So it is pretty similar to the main function you defined in the Java program. And inside the function, we have some comments. You can see here, which is pretty similar to the comments we did in the Java program. And also, since there's a return value request when we define the main function, you can see here we have an int. So we need to return some values back at the end of this function. So I suppose you guys already get the C programming environment ready either by real Linux operating system or install the Linux operating system on the virtual machine. So after you save this C program source code in your computer as a hello.c file, you can open the terminal, then locate the hello.c file in your computer, then compile it through the command gcc hello.c. So here the gcc means is the C compiler, and hello.c is the file name. So if there's no error inside, the hello.c file will be compiled and generate a new file which is called a.out. So then after you type in .-a.out, you type in this one, you can run it. So after you run the file, you run this command, the hello world will be shown on your screen.